Hello, friends, and welcome to Strangers in the Night, your source for late night VR gaming talk. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, are my good friends Eric and Roots. Roots, Eric's here.
Hi. Yeah, I was like, "Who's that guy up?" Oh yeah, remember Eric? Remember when Tiffany like, "Who the hell is Eric?" And you're like, Smash Daddy. Well, people were saying that too. Like, who's the Smash guy? Eric. Where's Eric? I said Eric's fucking busy as hell.
I think Mash Daddy Cool's gone.
He's done?
He's gone. Yeah, I think he's gone.
Yeah, dead and gone, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to have those kind of names, and like when you're, I can't like. What am I mean, I guess it's still my gamer tag. I'll keep it as my gamer tag, but
Right.
it's tough to have it anymore. Like when you're like the COO of a company, and you can't be going around like, "Hey, I'm Mash Daddy Cool." It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? When you're a YouTuber and a content creator, it's kind of funny and cool, but
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Like, we can make your game a success. Meet my colleague here, Mash Daddy. My name is Weasel. Yeah,
I mean, Skiva's still Skiva, right? Like
that's right.
Roots
every
is
once
still
in a
Roots.
while,
Although
every once in a
in
while,
there.
like I'm in a business meeting, like in a business meeting with like suits, right? And I'm like, do I want to say Skiva? And then I end up going, this is one of our founders, Harry, and I just can't call Skiva Harry. It doesn't work for me.
It's weird, right? Like Harry's
Harold.
weirder than Skiva.
Harold.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Roots is Rots. Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
Ruts. People like to call you Ruts.
Yeah, you know what? What's funny, and then that goes with me everywhere, and it's 2 U's. I could change it to 2 O's, but I just would be disingenuous to my World of Warcraft character, and I can't do it. But yeah, no, I would.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it. I just would stick with myself. Like, that was one of the things when we first started doing the podcast, and everybody we were deciding, everything and what we wanted to put on the thing. I said, put Roots. I'm not going to go by James, that's like a lot of times I don't even think of myself as that way anymore. I think Roots has kind of came into me so much that I am Roots. And
I don't think I could call you James.
Yeah, I know. James is
That's
lame.
like somebody.
Not only that,
somebody said the other day that you should shave your beard, and I'm like, no, what? If you
Yeah,
shave your
they
beard, we
did.
start calling you James.
Topsy-turvy world, dude. Upside down. The only thing, Jim Hall, his name is James, and Radio Runt, his name is James. And so,
well, don't forget about James, like actual James.
Yes,
is James
and there's
as well.
James, and so I'm in good company. So it is a good name. It's just I've been Roots for so long.
Yeah. Eric, welcome back. It has been a while. It's been so long that I told Roots last week, like, because I know what's coming up on your schedule. I didn't tell Roots what's coming up on your schedule, but I told Roots that I know that there are things coming, and I told him, Eric's pretty much going to be a special guest until the 2024 show at the very least. But welcome back for the time being. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it sucks. I apologize for last week because here's what happens all the time. I'm like, guys, I can't wait. I'm in for the show. I'm ready to do it. Like in for Saturday, and I was excited for it, and then I couldn't do it, and then I was like, but don't worry, Monday I'm there. Game of the month, I'll be there. I'm ready to roll. And I got through Monday, and like it was just not any better. Like I was just like super much in pain, and yeah, I hate missing, man. I hate missing, but yeah, you're right. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna do as many as I can, and yeah, it'll be more like a guest appearance, I think, from time to time, because until about mid-October, things are gonna get dicey for me, but in a good way.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. That makes me happy. It makes me sad at the same time. I just wanted to throw out there that Chrome Colossus says Mash Daddy's mic is a little bit dim. But I would have never guessed anybody was going to say that on this episode. So
I did just turn myself back up in Ninja again. So I'm at 180% gain now.
I turned you up a little bit as well. So now there's
Yeah,
a
be
little bit of
careful.
red. As long as you don't scream, you're good.
God
I
damn
don't
it.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, be careful with that. I'd rather have you a little bit low than get buzzy and distorted, which tends to happen when you push the gain too high.
That's
Yep.
true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it where it is, and if everybody, I'll just try and maybe talk a little bit louder, but I won't up the gain anymore where we are.
You better up the game, but not the game. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I'm headed to China next week, guys.
That's awesome, dude. Be careful because I
Yes.
heard I love Chinese people. I just don't like the government.
Number one.
Yeah,
China
they're
number
number
one.
one. I'm just not a big fan of their government or the way they treat the people. But I would love to actually visit China and Japan. I think it's cool.
So you're
I
going
guess
to be in China for how long, Eric?
I'm only in China for a week, but
Wait,
then
and where are you going in China exactly?
Going to Shanghai for the week.
Oh wow, that's
Shanghai.
crazy! You're gonna see Jackie.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie Chan is.
That would be cool to see Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Actually, Meta has Meta's got a pretty good presence there in China now.
Really?
So they have Meta offices in China, in Shanghai.
Okay.
And Meta is putting on like 2 XR days there right before a major gaming conference called China Joy. And and they have like over 100 developers coming to these 2 days of XR days at the Meta campus there. And and they've asked us to come out and talk. So
How
we're
cool.
gonna go.
Yeah. And typically Sony has a pretty big presence at China Joy as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it could be an interesting trip, to say the least.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do China. We're gonna do 2 days at Meta, and then we're gonna do a couple of days at China Joy and see what that's all about, man. I've never been anywhere in Asia, so I'm looking forward to it and seeing like what the VR scene is like there. I mean, they have 100 developers that want to develop, Chinese developers that want to develop for the Quest on the North American side, right? Because there's still right now there's no Meta Quest in China. There's other headsets, but not the Quest, and like the other headsets are like nowhere near like there's Oppo and Nolo and Aichi and YVR and Pico's big, of course there, but they're still not the same. Like there's no way you're going to get the audience base.
Yeah.
You think that Pico would leverage those developers to I mean, with that many, you would think that you would be able to pick out 5 gems, right, and have some exclusives on your platform.
Right.
I mean, the way that the way that they're investing, you would think that Pico would be looking and exploring that avenue, and maybe they are. I don't know.
Is your wife going with you, Eric?
No, on my own. Me and our VP of operations for Natasha Fahey for Impact. We're gonna be going.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out Natasha.
I just answered my main question then, because I was going to ask you if you were going to check out Disneyland China, and I was like, that is fucking never happening. If you're without your wife would kill you.
It's so funny you said that, because literally I have a day, and we're big Disney fans, and I have a chance to go to Shanghai Disney, which I hear is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't even think about it. She's like, don't even think about going there without me. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
What a bummer,
I'm turning off my
man,
trackers and I'm going.
Oh God, what a bummer! If she, that's why I was hoping she was going to go with you, because that would be such a perfect opportunity for something like that, right? Because I'd love to go to a Disney out somewhere outside the United States, because I've been to the ones here. So
yeah, it's going to be cool. So I go to China, and then I don't come home until October, until like the last week in October. So I am going to be away from home, away from my wife, my daughter. But again, it's for really good things. So I'm looking forward to it. But,
yeah.
So we've got China and we've got Germany. What's in between?
PAX West is in between. But I just
PAX
won't
West.
be home. I'll be going to these events. I'll be going to Germany. I'll be going for Gamescom. I'll be going to PAX, but I will be living on the West Coast for between now and late October.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, yeah,
Exciting times though for VR in general. I mean, Jamie Feltham is returning back to the showcase space and doing the VR game showcase in just a few weeks, and then Gamescom right on the tail of that with the Home of XR mega booth. A pretty good way to kick off what is typically the the build up to the holiday season, right?
Yeah, this has never happened before. This mega booth at Gamescom, and then Jamie doing his, Jamie coming back to it and doing another a VR showcase after so many years after doing the original really good Upload showcases when when Upload first had their first couple that were really well produced, and Jamie and his wife Xena ran all those. And that's when Upload covered more games, and Jamie was the main reviewer there. So having him back in the action doing a show like the week before, so August 15th is the VR showcase, and then you have Gamescom literally right on the heels the following week. I think it starts on the 22nd or something like that, and then runs through the weekend. So, and then Gamescom is going to be like different. Like this is my third Gamescom, and normally it's me trying to hunt down anything that has to do with a VR headset, and that will not be the case here this year. This will be the case this year. We'll be trying to figure out how you get all these demos in the 3 or 4 days that you're there, because there's going to be that many.
You're going to find time to take a break from VR this year.
Yeah, I mean, literally the home of VR, which is this 5,500 square foot booth that's going to be there, has so many games demos in it that literally, like as a creator or an influencer, if you're going there to demo games to report on them, you will be at that booth probably demoing games for a full day. That's how many games there are. Because you're talking 15, 20-minute, half-hour demos, right? Per game.
Right. And some of them even longer. I mean, Skydance is going to be doing Behemoth demos there, I think. And as you know, those can run on for a little while if they don't cut you off.
Especially if you're Wes and you got to find every little hidden secret.
Yeah. But no, man, it's exciting times. And it's, it has been the slow season, as it typically is the case here for VR. But we've had some solid releases come out. We're getting a few here and a few there. And honestly, the break in the release calendar is allowing people to focus more on mods and UEVR and stuff. It's certainly been the case for us here on the channel. And I feel like awareness is really starting to take off around UEVR. At least it seems so in our community, even in the Without Parole community. People are starting to really take interest in PCVR, and I mean, we said at the end of last year, Roots, that this would be the story for 2024, and it's very much looking to be the case here.
Yeah, absolutely. The year of the VR mods, right? I guess they just had the Unity one come out, right? The UUVR?
It's been around for a while. So the Unity VR injector is part of the RIPAL tool, which not only does that, but it also will track your library for UEVR. Like that's what most people download it for, is to keep track of their UEVR library. But the Unity VR injector is in an early state right now. It's like a early beta state, so it's not like super polished out with a bunch of features and stuff, but it does work for some titles. And I mean, I wouldn't go in expecting to be able to play like motion controls and all of that stuff, but if you want to just if you have a Unity game that you want to try to put in the headset so that you can be in it when you play it with your control pad or your mouse and keyboard, it's certainly usable for that, for a percentage of the Unity games right now. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's how I prefer to play them anyway. So as intended.
Rye's working his ass off, man. He's working his ass off.
For real. For real.
It's pretty cool, man. Like I'm really excited for when that gets finished and done, because to be honest with you, like we're gonna get into it tonight. I'm done with Luke Ross, man. I'm just not having this stuff. I'm fucking done with him, man. I'm just not. Like UEVR is so much better than what everything Luke puts out.
Here's the thing about Luke Ross, though, okay? Because I know I went off on the AER shit last year on the show, right? The end of the year show. And I love the UEVR mod, and I love the fact that it has so many games that we can play. But what Luke Ross does is he targets games that are individual their own engines, right? Like that's a lot more
Right.
difficult than Unreal Engine that's already programmed for it. And so I don't know. I've had such like, for instance, the UEVR mod. I had issues with Hogwarts Legacy, but I was able to play it with Luke Ross perfect. And so like I can go back and forth with certain games, where UEVR is definitely a lot more user friendly. Luke Ross has its place, I think, for some certain games.
I
Yeah,
agree.
no, that's true.
Like I'm sorry to hear that you had a bad experience with the game that we're covering this week. I thought that I was going to for a moment, but I got it ironed out pretty quickly. And we'll talk about that a little bit.
But you had a
later.
problem last week doing Red Dead, right? You still can't get into Red Dead, right?
Well, that's a Luke Ross mod that's not supported anymore, and it hasn't been for some time. That's the reason why. It's because Rockstar broke it after they forced
but
Luke
not for
Ross
everybody,
to quit.
right?
Yeah, I don't know. We still don't know exactly why. I know that D literally was playing it for days, and then it suddenly there was an update or something happened. She couldn't play it, and it like was broke. And then Wes tried it the next day, and he had the same issue she was having. So I think one of the updates broke it, and I don't know if I don't know why I can still play it. My theory is it's the VRAM, but I don't know. There's probably other things out there, but like, the 3090, I think Void's friend has 24 gigs, and he doesn't have the issue. I have 24 gigs. I don't have the issue. Void doesn't. He has a 24 gigs as well.
Weird.
So I don't know.
And just the other thing for me, like the reason I say I prefer I just can't wait for Unity, the Unity mod by Ryan, and then UEVR, is it's an open system. Like anybody can make a profile and make things better. Like
right.
Everybody's working on these things.
It's open source.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's what makes it like a special thing. Is that these are literally tools for other people to get in and take farther. I just hope that happens. It seems like since Prey Dog put this thing out, that like everybody's just content with it the way it is, and nobody wants to like grab a game and really polish it up and finish it off.
Yeah.
Anyways, 3 games on the docket again this week for the second or third week in a row, covering 3 on a Saturday. And we've been close to 4 hours on our last few episodes, so I don't want that to happen again. So I guess we should probably get into it and say hello to our friends in chat. Techno Glitch is here, as usual. What's up, Tech? Old Darth is here. See, people are already talking about PC components in the chat. This is all it's been, bro. People talking about what they're going to do and how they're going to build their computer out. I love it.
I feel like I was ahead of the time, Wes, when I did this last year. Somebody, Wally, the Gamecast, specifically a White Tiger, gave a $5 Canadian dollars super chat. Says, with the PSVR adapter coming soon, I want to buy a PC. Is the 7900 XTX good VR card in July 2024? 4 gigabytes of VRAM, future proof. 4080 Super has 16 gigabytes. And I would say that it's good to look at the VRAM, but one of the things that I use this example, the WoW VR mod, for whatever reason, it doesn't. There's issues that there's like different things you have to hoops you have to jump through to get it to run with AMD cards, and it's just something that they can't avoid. Like I would steer more towards NVIDIA, although a lot of people are going to say no, it's fine. But now processors are probably the other direction. I'd go AMD over Intel. So these days, but
yeah, I second that. AMD is a pretty good graphics card from the standpoint of pure rasterization power, which is horsepower, for lack of a better term. The problem is that NVIDIA is such on the cutting edge of new features, that most game studios build their games around NVIDIA and their feature set. So if you run with the AMD card, sure, it's going to work on a lot of stuff, but it's not going to work on everything. You're going to have compatibility issues fairly regularly. So I think if I had to choose between those two cards, I would definitely go with the 4080 Super over the AMD card 7900 XT.
And the 4080 Super is really amazing. I am seeing that your mic is bleeding through to Eric's or whatever the issue that pops up from time to time.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that before, but that's weird. Maybe it's picking up his headphones or something. It's not coming through right now, is it?
Yeah, right now it wasn't.
It's my headphones. It's when I get my ear too close, I think.
Not sure Brondo is here. Mr. Lord Beavis is here. We've got another tip from Waleed. Thank you, Waleed. Another question: does DLSS/FSR look bad in VR? It's hard to say with like native VR games because we get so few native VR games on PC now. And the ones that we do, I haven't really spent a bunch of time playing with this stuff. I can say that it's a case-by-case basis with mods. I've had a lot of good success with FSR in mods. Typically, that it brings a lot of sharpness and clarity without hitting the performance at all. DLSS is more of a hit and miss thing for me. It can sometimes provide more clarity, but at the same time, sometimes it produces artifacts and ghosting and things. You want to add anything to that, guys?
No, I agree with everything you just said.
Yep, I agree. I use it more than I don't, I think.
Yeah.
I would say the opposite. I would say that I don't use DLSS more than I do, but I do use FSR most of the time.
If DLS is an option, I always usually turn it on.
It depends. For me, I'll usually with the 4090, which Eric, shame on you. I'll leave it off unless I have to because, like Steve Iyer says, you can notice the artifacts more. I don't know if you necessarily can notice that per se, but the picture is definitely going to be a lot more sharp in general if it doesn't have to be on than if it is on, even though it can make it look really good with better frame rates. But if you don't have to turn it on, it's going to be a better picture.
And then there are times that you do have to have it.
Right.
Like there are
absolutely.
There are rare cases that that a game just won't run smoothly unless you have that DLSS on. Right. So that's kind of why it's nice to have it in your toolbox.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right. I'm still not used to even having this 4080 yet, or 4090.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I was thinking
so I'm just used to having my 3080 and always having to turn it on.
I was thinking about you with the game we're going to be talking about tonight here. And because when I went into it, I cranked. Not only did I put it all on ultra, but I went into the resolution of the thing and I cranked up the resolution in game and in the mod, and of course turned it up to like 5,000 by 5,000 or some ridiculous fucking number, and it was just it looked so amazing, and it ran perfect. You know, like I'll just try to push it as hard as I can until I have to pull back a little bit. It's kind of nice.
Xbox Game Pass only, bitch. And sometimes PS4 LOL is here. Lesser Logic is here as well. Steve, IRE, what up? Old Darth is here. SpryGuy is here as well. Looper in the house. Let's see here. Philozix joining us. Gabriel 004. Traveling Man 3775. What up? Samson 143 VR. What's up, Samson? I'm coming for your score, bro. We're about to talk about Thumper. I'm coming for your
Thumper?
score. Thumper, Thrasher. My bad. Thank you.
I thought maybe you jumped back into Thumper because you were playing Thrasher,
No,
so you jumped back into
no. I meant to say Thrasher. I'll probably do that 10 times before the end of the episode. Chinatown D in the house. What up, D? Rogue TR here as well. What up? Radio Runt. AW is here. Cop Dog is here. Faluke Rogi. Evan Yabu's here. Game Cat Behemoth. Chrome Colossus. All in the chat. Jay the Foveated Rendered Game Cat is here. Ezek is here. Wolfheart JG. Roy Schwartz. My boy. Mr. Cherryman is in the chat as well. James is here. See, I told you, Roots. There's the real James.
There's the real James.
here.
There are a lot of James. Jonas is here. It says it's 7:28 in the morning in Sweden.
Nice.
What up?
I love Sweden.
Jonas from Sweden. Good to see you.
Stockholm's
Brandon
one of my
VR
favorite
is
cities.
here. Lose Reviews and Four Wheelin'. And that, my friend, is as far to the north as we can go. Do we have any slipperies besides our friend Jonas? Let's see.
I think everybody.
Can I shout out Waleed real quick? Just
You
'cause
can.
He
Yeah,
came
go
into
for
my
it.
he came into my chat on Thursday. We had Scott from Combat Waffle Studios on talking little PlayStation with the Ghost of Sabor, and I think Waleed ended up dropping like $40 of super chats.
Oh,
or something
wow.
that night, 40 or 50
Oh.
bucks of different super chats. So, and I think that was his first time ever in coming over to Q2C and hanging out. So
Really?
I want to shout him out and say thank you for coming over, and we
Nice.
appreciate your super chats and doing it again here tonight. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, people getting excited for Ghost of Tabor. They keep dropping teases on Twitter. Stuff that if you're not a PSVR gamer, you probably don't recognize. But if you are a PSVR gamer, then you know what you're looking at and you know what they're trying to do. They're teasing, right? So yeah, I don't think we're going to have very much longer to wait on that one at all. Anyways, let's get into some game talk, guys. That's what we're here for. That's what they're here for. So without further ado, let's get into it. And let's start off by talking about the one new release. And Roots, before we even get into this, let me just say how refreshing it is that we actually have a new release to talk about this week. We've been drumming up shit to play for the last few weeks, just trying to find something interesting to keep us entertained. Not that there hasn't been good stuff to play, mind you. Like obviously, if you go back to the Game of the Month episode and look at some of the stuff we talk about, there's been some solid stuff. But I haven't been really excited for a new release in some time. And then there's Thrasher. So Thrasher is a game from one of the devs of Thumper, the classic Gen 1 VR rhythm game. Maybe my favorite rhythm game. I mean, it's different than other rhythm games. Obviously, it's its own thing. So I've had some pretty, I would say, sustained, cautious optimism for Thrasher. And the reason I say cautious optimism is I've basically been giving it the benefit of the doubt because of who it's from, right? Like, because I know it's from the Thumper dev. Like, I've been expecting a decent game here. Although when you look at it, the footage from the trailer and stuff that they put out, it looked a bit basic. And I got to admit, Roots, when I first started playing the early levels of this, I got a little scared because the first few levels are pretty basic and pretty easy, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually got scared a little bit sooner. I got scared in the options. I was like, "Oh shit! These are the settings." And then I remembered, "Oh shit! This is a quest game. There are no settings really, no graphics, nothing. This is what you get." But yeah, you're right. It's like the first few levels, maybe even the first world or so. set of levels is like pretty basic, and it was entertaining, but I was definitely a little bit worried. But it didn't take more than, the second or third world where then I started to think, wow, this is actually way more than I thought it was going to be. And yeah.
Yeah, Eric, I hate leading with the verdict on this one, but I just got to say that was very much my experience. I went into this thing a little concerned from the trailer. I start playing the first few levels, and it's super basic, and it looks and sounds cool, right? It has that thumper vibe to it, and it maybe even more so, right? Because of it's way more open and way more abstract. But the gameplay was really basic, and it ramped up kind of slow at the start. But it didn't take super long before they started adding layers into it, the same way they did with Thumper. And this thing goes from super simple to pretty damn complicated, like really quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had the same thing as you guys. Like, I got in here and I'm like, wow, this, number one, you're going to know this is a game from somebody who made Thumper. It was just, I mean,
Yep.
the visuals and like the feel of it, as soon as you get in there, you're like, wow, this is going to be Thumper. And I really thought in the beginning, I'm like, this is going to be really easy. It's like, this might be too rudimentary and too basic. And like, where Thumper was, imaginative and cool, this, was just almost more of that, but just not challenging enough. And then, bam, like you're in the middle of it, and then you're like, holy shit, things got really crazy really quick. And yeah, I have a lot to say about this one, Wes, but I have multiple platforms that I played this on, and I don't know if I want to get into can I get into both of them?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that you would give us a little comparison because this game launched on two platforms this week. It launched on MetaQuest and it launched on Apple Vision Pro, coming to Steam VR later this year. But yeah, I was kind of hoping that you would let us know how this translates to a platform that doesn't have controllers.
Yeah, I'll do the Apple Vision Pro first and the whole thing, and then we can all talk about the Quest version. But the Apple Vision Pro, I haven't done almost no VR gaming on the Apple Vision Pro, even though there are games out there to do. They just haven't excited me at all with no controllers. So, like, I haven't done them, like Synth Riders, any of the gaming stuff, even like Demio, I haven't gotten into on the Apple Vision Pro, just other than to try it out, because it just didn't feel. I don't feel like it's a gaming headset, so I'm like, and nothing has compelled me to use it for that kind of thing until now. This is the absolute headset that you want to play this on. Number one, of course, you know the visuals are going to be that much better. The visuals are awesome in the Apple Vision Pro, but guys, where the Apple Vision Pro usually falls down, which is the hand tracking is not as good, and there is no controllers here. It's all hand tracking with the Apple Vision Pro. It is so much better than using controllers on the Quest. Like night
Really?
and day. I was getting S's and like high number A's
Wow.
all the way through, and I played it. I think I played it almost to the. Is there 3 or 4 levels? Is there more? I don't know how many levels there are. I think I played through 4 bosses.
Okay, so you played more than I did. I played through to I played through 3-1. So is that the whole game? Did you finish the game?
I didn't finish, but I don't see any more past that, like that you can go to. Like usually you had like the menu where you could like keep going to see like when you unlock stuff, and I didn't see any more after 4. So I don't know. So but I made it to the 4th boss, and I couldn't get past the 4th boss. It gets that hard.
Yeah,
like I needed more
it does
time
get
and more
hard.
practice. But I'm just saying, like the movement, which basically it's just using your pinch finger like this to whip that dragon kind of snake thing around, and it's so much more precise than having to do it with the controller. I don't know what the difference is. And again, translation has not been good for VR games between how good the touch controllers are for tracking and how poor it's been on the Apple Vision Pro so far. Like especially like a game like Synth Riders has been terrible on the Apple Vision Pro because the tracking hasn't been good enough. Here it's the opposite. I was shocked at how good the tracking is. It's like like really good, and I can control it so much more pinpoint accuracy. And in this game, you have to be super accurate, especially later on.
Yep.
So between the visuals in this game looking amazing, and then how well it played with the tracking, I'm blown away. I played way more on this version than I did on the Quest version because I played this one first. Not to say that the Quest version isn't awesome looking, it definitely is, but it just looks so. I mean, those OLED lenses with the on the Apple Vision Pro, and then you can see in these videos a lot of these are dark, vibrant colors. They just pop on there, man. So good.
When I was playing it, I thought that, honestly, what I thought the whole time is I would really like to play this on PlayStation because not only for the extra field of view that you get on there, but this is a game I felt like could have used more haptic feedback. Like it seemed like it didn't even use all of the haptic feedback it had from the Quest 3 controllers. And I guess we should say that this game still doesn't come out for a week or two, and this is an early version of the game, and it could be and probably will be updated before it launches. But that I was kind of thinking the whole time that I need more haptics in this thing, man, because I guess we should take a step back and explain to people what this game is. If you look at the footage, especially from the trailers, it kind of leads you to believe that it's one of those like mobile worm games that you've seen back in the past where you just kind of guide the worm around and it eats things and it gets larger and you're trying to dodge the other stuff and continue to eat until you hit something and you die. That's not what this is. This is a slashing game. Basically, it starts out where you're just like popping bubbles, but by the time the levels start to gain more complexity, you're slicing through things and kind of guiding this space worm to slice through different bars and bubbles. And when you slice through them, it has a really satisfying sound. Has a lot of visual feedback and some haptic feedback as well. So it's all about slicing. They put obstacles in there that you have to dodge, and that's kind of what makes a lot of the difficulty come, is when you have to start dodging all of these different obstacles. And essentially, Roots, this is a leaderboard chaser. At the end of the day, it's all about how fast you can clear these boards, slicing through all of this stuff. You could, there's certain things you can do to get time bonuses, but if you hit any of the obstacles, it takes away time from you, and if you take too long, it'll kill you. So it's a really interesting concept, kind of a simple concept for a game, but when I say simple, I don't mean that it's easy. It's just a really creative concept for the ultimate palate cleanser,
Yeah, it's definitely like you said, a chaser for the leaderboards, right? Because I'm sure that's exactly what Wes was doing. Because for the most part, I mean, unless you really fuck up, because it gets harder and harder and harder, you just have to take your time. It's better to take your time than to be running into the things, right? Like, and just watching the patterns. It's all about the patterns as well. But I think it's definitely very satisfying. And like what you said is true. You'll get these patterns where you have to slice through them, and you got to get all of them in one stroke, because if you don't, the other ones will start to come back, and then you have to do it again. And so there's just a lot more to it as you go through. But the snake does get longer, right? And where that plays a problem, it makes it more difficult to see what's going on in the screen. That fucking thing is so long at some points. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like seriously trying to have a hard time seeing what's going on. And that's by design, right? That's part of the game. So yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it's pretty basic here with this level 1 stuff that we're looking at right here, where you're cutting through single lines and bubbles. But you'll see in a moment when we get into level 2, Eric, that was when I really first realized just how cool and special this game was when I started level 2-1, and it had that row of lines that you have to slice through all of them or they regenerate.
They come back.
Not only is that does that add like a layer of complexity and challenge to it, but it's super satisfying to slice through that stuff, isn't it?
It's so cool. I see what you mean by haptics, though. Like, it would be cool to have more haptics because it is a satisfying sound, but to get those satisfying haptics too with it would be super cool. And that's, of course, one thing you're not going to get on the Apple Vision Pro is any haptics at all, because it's just your hands, of course. But yeah, I mean, it gets challenging really fast. Like, did you guys make it to the part? So like every level or every boss level that you get into, so like level 1, level 2, level 3, and then even level 4. As you get going into them, you get like it's like a new piece of gameplay, right? Like you just said with with level 2 gets to the cross hashes where you have like, lines going, they're like boxes, and you have lines going vertically and lines going horizontally, and you have to like come around and like hit, go through them horizontally, then come back and go through them vertically to eliminate them all, or they kind of grow back. You get later into the stages of, I think, 3. And it almost becomes like a missile command type thing. Did you see that one? Where then
it works like a slingshot, doesn't it?
Yeah. So then you're not actually guiding the snake anymore. You're actually like you're grabbing an object and you're kind of like pulling back on it, like you said, like a slingshot. And then you're kind of waiting, and then you release it, and it flings itself through the objects that you're trying to get to. So they keep giving you different, like, number one, the difficulty ramps up with every level. So it gets harder and harder. And then they keep giving you different ways to kind of break through these different objects. And, that gets super hard, and like, but it's still challenging. And, it's one of those things where this is a pretty rudimentary, straightforward game, but with the challenge and with the environments and with the different things they send at you, I loved it, man. Especially, like I said, on the Vision Pro, I played all the way through it in one sitting. I was just like, I was enamored with it, and I didn't want to leave it. So I just kind of kept going. So yeah, I thought that it was really well done, really well thought through. Like, some of the challenges and some of the different blocks, and then losing seconds as you hit some of these red barriers.
Yeah.
So that's you get penalties if you hit these things, and I thought it was cool. And did you get the effect where if you kind of like turn like really quick on a dime, you get like bonus time? Did you see that?
I noticed myself getting bonus time a couple of times, but it's so like kind of overwhelming, everything that's going on, and when you get into the thick of it, that I never really quite understood what it was that I did that was giving me the bonus time.
So I don't 100% understand myself, because it's not easy to repeat it, but I think what it has to do is if you have to do it fast enough, so you have to get you have to go fast with your movement, with your hand movement, to kind of like to break the objects, and then you have to like try and make a 90-degree. Like that's when it can seem like I could repeat it the best. So if I was kind of like slicing through fast, and then I just changed direction automatically and very quickly, and then went back the exact same direction I just came from, I seemed like I would get those bonus like 3 seconds or 2 seconds kind of tacked on. And then later in the level of like 3 and then the beginning of 4, I kind of needed that because I died several times in on 3 and then even in 4.
But is it fun, Eric? That's what Zipsy says. Looks cool, but is it fun? I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun.
It was a lot of fun, and it was more fun than I expected. Even like, again, I came into this, giving it the benefit of the doubt because of the developer. By the way, we should shout out the developer and thank both the developer Puddle and the publisher Creature for providing us all with review access to this. But I was kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt coming in, but I was kind of scared that it wasn't going to be as fun as is it as fun as Thumper? I mean, I guess that's debatable, but it's not debatable that I think that it's pretty safe to say it exceeded all of our expectations for it, right? Like it ended up being a way more funner than I thought it was going to be. I thought that it was going to be something that was mildly fun and addictive, but had a really cool atmosphere and soundtrack. And while it does have a cool atmosphere and soundtrack, it was way more fun and addictive than I ever thought it was going to be. So yeah.
Definitely agreed. I loved it, man. There's not many games I sit down and I'm like, I could have just played for an hour, and then I just kept going and going. I literally, if it wasn't for the fact that I just couldn't get through a couple parts, I didn't have time to like keep learning things, I probably would have finished the game. Because I was just having that much fun, and it was like late. It was like 2 a.m. My wife was sleeping next to me in the bed, and I was in there having a blast. Good thing she didn't wake up. I probably would have hit her in the face.
Everyone look at this.
You're like moving like crazy.
Oh yeah, you're swinging like you're literally swinging it like a whip almost, right? Like big, like exaggerated movements. But everyone look at the screen here. How you have to cut through these big like stacks of these bars. This is so satisfying to do because of the sound and the haptics and the visuals and the way it all works together. Roots, I was kind of a little bit bummed out that we have to wait to get the Steam version of this, because I feel like you saw what the difference was for Thumper, right? Between the mobile version and like the PlayStation and Steam versions. There's a lot more polish visually. And while this looks phenomenal on the Quest 3, I got to believe when it hits Steam later this year, there's going to be a lot more particle effects and cool lighting and stuff going on with it. I'm looking forward to that a lot now, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks amazing, but I think it'll look even better on PC. Now, I wonder, because on the Quest Pro, you didn't play it with the Quest Pro, Eric?
I didn't, no. I just played it on my Quest. I just played it on the 3.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if that, like, I felt like the controls and like everything felt perfect to me as far as, I don't know if it's the controllers being, tracking themselves or not. And I don't know how the backlight lit screens work with Quest games. I think it's only for PC, right? So I don't know.
Oh, the local dimming and
the local dimming.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it looks really good.
And don't get me wrong, when I say like talk about the controls were spot on for the Quest 3. It was just that much better with the. I just think because you don't have the controller with the Apple Vision Pro, like you're just using your hand movement, and it was just more natural. And then there was something about holding the controller, and just didn't seem as natural to me when I was doing it. So like I had played almost all the way through the whole game, the night before. With the Apple Vision Pro, and I got really good at it. And then I came back and played it on the Quest 3, and I was getting almost all Bs,
but
score-wise.
Let me ask you this, though. Is there a possibility that if you would have played it the other way around and played through the entire, almost the full game with a controller, if doing hand tracking would have felt weird and you wouldn't have done as well? I mean, if you play anything and almost play through the whole game, you're going to get good how you do it, and the controller would throw you off enough to where you wouldn't get as good a scores. You just played through the whole game a completely certain way, right?
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the controller tracking with the Quest 3. I think it's fine. It's just I preferred it, I guess I should say, with the Vision Pro. It just felt more natural. It was not having the controller in my hand, and it just seemed like the movements were quicker. I don't know. There may have still been maybe there was a tiny bit of lag with the Quest 3 controllers compared to not having any controllers at all. Because it just seemed like those cuts because you guys know as it gets later on and you got like these objects that you're trying to go through, they're not even just stagnant anymore, and you're not sure, there's not barriers in front of them. It's not just barriers; they start to like tumble, and you're having
that's tough. When it starts doing that shit, that is hard. That's when I really started struggling with it.
Yeah.
And then you have you have these red barriers that you have to avoid as these things are tumbling, and then they start to tumble faster as you get farther along. And it just seemed like between the two versions, I was better able to do it with the hand tracking with the Vision Pro. So. But yeah, I mean, I'll go back and I'll probably play it more on the Quest 3 to see if I did fine. I mean, it didn't do bad in any way. Like, I just think it was just a little bit better. And I only brought it up because the Vision Pro has been so bad.
Right.
Before. Like, everything else hasn't worked well. This is one of the first ones I think they've gotten it right.
That's the story. I mean, like you said, it's just amazing, the tracking. And it's a big win for everybody that has a Vision Pro, right? So
yeah, for sure. Just because it's not good VR gaming right now. Like I never do it. But this is the first game I think I would go back to now and play it on the Vision Pro more because I enjoyed it so much. So I hope
Do you
we
think
see
it'll
more stuff like this.
Do you think it'll blow people away that like maybe don't do VR and like they just try this game and they're like, oh my god, this is
Hell yeah, yeah. If you're a person who just got the Vision Pro, you've never you've never done VR games before, and you got the Vision Pro because you're an Apple fan or because you just wanted it for work, and that's all you've been using it for, and this will be the first app that is in there that will freaking addict people to it. You know what I mean? People will be getting in here and just wanting to do kind of stuff because it has the feel of a mobile game, right? This is a palate cleanser mobile game. It's not one of those games where you have to there's no story involved here. It's you get in, you
Right.
have some fun, you get out, and that's what a lot of those types of gamers are looking for. You know what I mean? Those mobile type gamers are looking for just quick hits, and that's what this has. It has a good addictive feel with it, and it's easy to play. So easy to play, hard to master. Yeah, so I think this is probably the first game that has a chance to do fairly well on the Vision Pro, where there's just not a lot of people anyway, so it's hard to make any money. I'm just glad they did it.
right.
Yeah. Do you think it's kind of strange that that they're launching this on Vision Pro before Steam or PlayStation?
Yeah, that is odd. And I think a lot of times with developers right now, it's just about getting in the ecosystem. It's like because
Right.
I don't think anybody who's putting a game on the Apple Vision Pro is looking to make money because you just can't. If you're like, oh, I'm going to put it on the Vision Pro and I'm going to make $1 million, you're lost because there's not enough gamers out there. Number one, but there's not enough Apple Vision Pros out there to make any money. So, I think right now it's an investment in you getting into the Apple ecosystem so that next headset or the next headset after that, you're already in the door, you're already developing, you're already figuring things out, and then you are ready to go. And then you do hope that the adoption, the mass adoption comes, which I think it will as the price comes down. And then you're in the door. I think that's why Resolution did it. I think that's why you see a lot of these other games do it. It's all about working for the future, and I think it's cool to see, man. When people started making games for the DK1, they didn't know what they were getting into. They were like, I don't know if I'm going to make any money, but I'm going to do it because it's freaking awesome, and I want to be in the VR ecosystem. And that's how it has to happen here. You have to have some people, visionary people, who aren't in it exactly to make $1 million, who aren't always in it for the buck, but are in it for the evolution of what we all hope it is, and that's what these guys are doing. So I tip my hat to anybody who's putting any game on the Apple Vision Pro right now because there's just no money in it, but they're doing it for a different reason. But damn,
Right.
I want to see this on PlayStation.
Yeah, I know, right? With the colors and the haptics, this would be amazing on PlayStation. Check out this boss, everyone. Pretty gnarly looking boss here.
Bosses are
And
cool.
this is when it really starts to get challenging, when these little small sections come and turn with the barriers right around them. It really starts to get hard to catch it just right.
They get faster than this. Like they get
Oh
faster,
yeah,
and then the grid systems start coming. Oh man, I love it.
yeah, yeah. I almost want to just sit here and keep watching it because it's so fun to play.
It is
But
psychedelic too, right? It almost looks like a Minter game.
yeah, it kind of had that. It reminded me of a mentor game because with Llamasoft you can hop from one game to the next to the next to the next, and the game play concepts can be very different, but it still has that same feel, and that's kind of how this is with Thumper, right? It's a very different game than Thumper, but you can tell it's from the same developer, from the same kind of world, multiverse or whatever, because it has that vibe to it the whole time that you're in there. And yeah, I can't wait to get back in.
Yeah. And we didn't even say too is when you hit these red barriers, it's not just a time thing that you get. You get hit with a time, you lose time. Like I think it's like a 2 or 3 second penalty. But then it like you get like a momentary thing where your snake doesn't work anymore. It like phases out, and then you have to wait like a half a second or a second to start cutting through the lines again.
Yeah, and that can be really detrimental too, because it isn't enough to touch these things that you're trying to break through. You have to slice through them. If you just touch them, they won't go anywhere. You have to have some momentum and have some movement and do it in a clean swipe, where it just doesn't work.
You-
Unfortunately.
D says, you know who hates when the snake doesn't work anymore? She gets real pissed.
So is that 2-3 Roots? What does that say?
It says 2-2.
2-2. Okay. I was going to hang around for a minute more if we were going into 3-1, but since we're not,
wait, we're going into 3-1.
Oh, there you go.
oh, we are going. Into 3-1.
We are going
Okay.
to 3-1.
Yeah, because that was just the boss that you just beat there, right? And 2-2.
Well, I skipped forward.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
All right, so check this out, people. This is how different this thing gets from level to level. You go to level 3 after level 2, and it's a whole new concept now. Like, it's not even the same thing anymore, because you got to grab these little glowing objects, and then you have to hold your trigger in, plot the path for it, and then it follows like a slingshot. And this will allow you to actually break through the barriers. All the red stuff now isn't a no-no. You can kill it now, and you have to get to the things that you're trying to break. It's like it lets you go through all these levels, Eric, and then just basically turns the gameplay on its head and completely changes it up.
Yeah, it's so good. Like I that's what I mean by like every level you get like a new different challenge or a different way that you're having to go through it, which is it's just super cool. I mean, it's well thought out, and I'm surprised. Why are we not seeing hand tracking with this on the Quest 3? Like that was I assumed it would, because when I played it on the Apple Vision Pro, played there first, I was assuming I was going to get hand tracking, and when I saw the controllers on the Quest 3, I was a little surprised.
It would have to be perfect with no latency, and it may be something that they're working on, because the Quest 3 hand tracking is getting pretty good. But is it perfect? I don't know if it's quite to the perfect level just yet.
Ghost Shot wants to know, did they use eye tracking for AVP version?
It's a really good question, and I don't know the answers to that, so I'm going to assume it's no. Like, because it's not something I consciously thought about doing when I was doing it, so I don't think so. I think if it did, I would have recognized it. Sometimes with the Apple Vision Pro stuff, you just don't even know. Like, unless it's like, unless you're typing something and you have to actually use it to select menus or select something on a keyboard, sometimes you just instinctively forget about it and you're actually doing it and you don't know it. But I don't remember doing it here. Like, I think everything was just hand gestures. I don't think there was any eye tracking in any way.
Did you try to do hand tracking? Because Fluke Rogi says that Meta on their website says that it is supported.
I didn't try, but I didn't see any. The menu is super. And it's not out yet, right? So it could be changing things. So
there was one option in the options. There weren't options. There was option, and it was just to pick which hand, because you play this one-handed. You don't need both controllers for it. You only need one.
Yeah, so maybe in the final version when it does launch, it'll have hand tracking, but I didn't see it in there.
That's a good point. Yeah, this is to specify that it doesn't come out for 2 weeks. So.
Super polished already though. Like literally, if it came out today, I would be like, this is a kick-ass game. Like everything looks perfect.
Right? Yeah, I would never guess it wasn't out already. It's in that good shape.
$19.99 retail price. Pre-order discount on it right now, 10% off. $17.99 if you want to pre-order. This game launches on the 25th of July, so about a week and a half till this game launches. Roots, what do you think? $20?
I think it's fair. Yeah, I mean, $20 is 5 years ago, 15. So it's definitely a fair price. And I mean, you played it for how long did you play it, Wes, already?
Well, I've only played the one run on it. What we're watching here, I don't know exactly how long it was, but it was probably close to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. I played it.
Yeah, so you're gonna get probably 2 or 3 hours out of it, without going back to it, and you probably will go back to it. So yeah, I think it's
right.
worth it.
Yeah, this is one of those games that you're not just playing it to beat the game, but you're playing it to move yourself up the leaderboard. That's kind of the point, is to play it and replay it and replay it. So this is something that if you get into it, you're going to get dozens of hours out of it. What do you think, Eric? $20?
Definitely, all day long. This game is a blast. It's a lot of fun. I think there's enough here. Like I'd like to see exactly how long it is, but I think there's definitely enough here for 19.99. It's a lot of fun. And the replay value is here because again the leaderboards. There was only 3 of us on the leaderboards on the Apple Vision Pro. It was me and I think the 2 devs. But I made top 10. Did you beat my score? On
I
the
don't
Quest
know.
version?
I didn't see your name on there.
I didn't either.
I'm not sure.
I didn't see any of your guys' names. And I got up in the like 18 and 15 ones.
I saw some names I know in there. Kent Bai's name was on there, and
yeah, Kent Bai was pretty solid at number 3. Yeah. Like it was almost every one of them. He was number 3 on. I saw VR Grid on there. I saw Samson on there. I saw a few people I know in there. I mean, I was in top.
I was gonna say it only showed you 10 people, so it probably showed us whatever level you made, and then the top 9 or something or whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's why. Yeah, and I made it in the top 10 a couple times, and then the ones I didn't make it in the top 10, I was like you said, Roots 15, 16, 17, 18, something like that. Cool. Yeah, this is where it really got fun. It was when these bubbles came and you had to start using the slingshot because you can combo these and you get bonuses for getting a bunch of them in one shot. I can't wait to practice and actually get good at it.
Old Darth asked about the music, and that was one of the things I was little like.
It was okay.
I wish it was like regular music, and the music in there is just it's a very cool like trippy type of music. But I wish it was like music.
It's like thumper music. It has that kind of constant rhythm going on, constant slow rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I almost thought metal music in here or something. That would be cool.
I don't know. I just thought it was, to some extent, I felt like it was okay. I felt it was somewhat a missed opportunity to some extent. Because everything's so fantastic, and but I'm also coming at it from like a Tetris effect or that type of thing where the music is just symbiotic and part of it, and that's just not what this game is, right? So, but as far as the music goes, but the music was good. It just wasn't like jumped out amazing.
Anyway, I had a blast in this. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Definitely recommend it at $20. And do look forward to getting back in and practicing a little bit and actually getting good at it.
Yeah, this is, we don't always get our own keys, but this is one of the games where I was glad I did, it's because I have it on my own, play it whenever I want. I don't have to worry about somebody else jumping in and kicking me out or something, or giving me a weird message and like, fuck you, MASH, I'm playing, bro. It's my turn.
And we'll definitely return to this on the show too when it comes to Steam later this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to that too.
Is it
Hope
coming?
It comes to PlayStation.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't know if it's coming to PSVR too.
They have not mentioned that. I'd be surprised if it didn't, because Thumper already has, and Thumper was amazing on PlayStation VR 2. It's the best place to play Thumper. So I imagine that if this comes, it'll be the best place to play this as well. But they have not yet mentioned it, so I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move along to our next title. Roots, we've been talking a lot in recent weeks about, like we mentioned at the top, it's been kind of slow with the release calendar, and the way we've been dealing with that is by doing a lot of mods. But we've been mentioning in recent weeks that we don't necessarily have to only do mods when we need something to play, because we have such a backlog of great classic VR games that not only did we not spend enough time in them when they were out, but there's a whole new group of VR users today that probably don't know about these games, and even if they do know about it, don't know just how good that they actually are. Um, because again, a lot of the AAA quality games that we got in VR came in the early days of VR. We actually took a little step back when the Quest generation came along. So we decided to kind of start this week, and we won't do it every week, but oftentimes we'll be revisiting classic games. One, because we want to play them, but two, we want to share with the new players just how good they actually are. But we're kicking that initiative off this week with a game that we've been hearing a lot about in our chat, in our Discord, and that game is Star Wars Squadrons. And I think Roots, the context of it and the reason why it keeps coming up is because players, VR enthusiasts, have been waiting on this AAA flight sim to come along that not only gives them player versus player or co-op PvE, but also and especially a AAA story-driven single-player experience. And we just haven't got that in VR yet. But we have. That's the thing. People keep talking about this magical flight sim that checks all the boxes and has AAA quality. And a lot of them don't realize that we do have that flight sim. It just isn't a wartime jet fighter game, but rather a Star Wars game. And that's exactly what Star Wars Squadrons is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely exactly what it does. I'm gonna unmute Eric because you had your ear tilted and it was doing.
Sorry, guys.
It was doing the thing, and I was like, I didn't want to interrupt Wes. I thought, yeah, I'll just mute him. But yeah, no, that was one of the things that I remembered immediately when I went into this thing is just how crazy the flying is in this. Like, if you're talking about like hairpin turns and like legit actual flying, like I don't remember if you are prone to possibly get sick in VR, take it easy on this game because I guarantee flipping around in that thing could make you possibly feel sick. But it was amazing, and I was not only blown away by that, but I couldn't believe how fucking amazing this thing looked in the headset. It was just I forgot how good it looked already, but with all the new hardware we have, it just really, really looks amazing.
Eric, legit AAA flight sim game, right? This literally dropped my jaw all over again when I booted it up. And by the way, people, I played this in my HP Reverb G2 with the graphics cranked all the way up on it, and it did not even fucking hiccup. It was just beautiful from start to finish.
This game is awesome, man. It's just so good, and it's like amazing that a lot of people haven't experienced it. You know, it's on 2 platforms. You know, it's on PlayStation, it's on Steam, but just so many people still haven't experienced this game. And like, and again, AAA, but this game was discounted for a lot. I don't even know what it is right now, but you could get this thing for like $1.99 for like 6 months. Like they sold it for so cheap at the end of its cycle that it was just amazing, like how good this game is and how cheap they had sold it for a while, to get people in there. And then, you know, being a great campaign, and then they have a multiplayer mode that's amazing, and then the visuals are like, if you're looking for great visuals, like if we're always looking for those holy shit moments in a VR game, this game will give it to you. Like, it has everything here. Like, the set pieces are huge, the ships that you're flying against are huge, the space stations are huge. Like, everything here is perfect except for the controls. I hate the controls.
You hate the controls, dude. I love the controls. I thought this thing was so easy to pick up and learn, and typically that's like my least favorite part of a flight sim is getting used to the controls. But this is like, I don't know if maybe you tried to use a HOTAS or something, but I just used the gamepad, and it was so easy to pick up for me.
The HOTAS makes it way better. The HOTAS makes it way better, actually.
It does. That's why I was spoiled, because when I played this game came out, I only played it on the HOTAS, and I played it for a long time. I was in this game for months when it came out, and I went and bought the HOTAS for this game.
Me
and
too.
That's the only way I played it. And now I didn't have time to hook the HOTAS up, and I was going to, and then I had issues with the other game that we were playing. It took me a ton of time to figure out, and I just didn't have time to hook my HOTAS back up because all my drivers aren't in there anymore, and I would have to redo the whole thing. But if you can go get yourself a HOTAS for like, I don't know, you can get that Thrustmaster for pretty cheap now.
Will a basic HOTAS work with this though? There's so many different things going on here. It's not
Yes.
just
They
pitch
changed it.
and yaw, but you have you have your throttle, and then you have your energy core, right? Where you have to balance where you want to put your energy at. Do you want to put it in shields or lasers? Do you want to put it in maneuverability? There's a lot to it.
Wes, let me show you dude. This
The HOTAS is so good, and yeah, you can map everything that you need onto the HOTAS. They actually
Can
changed
map
it. Like, so they actually changed the HOTAS for this game, and they allowed you to like remap things to make it work.
So you've got so many buttons on this thing, on the front, on the back. You've got buttons here. You got buttons here.
Let me clarify before you go, Roots. Let me clarify what I meant by that. I know that there are HOTASes out there, or HOTAS or HOTAS. Anyway,
yeah.
Wild
Hotai.
I know that the expensive ones are going to have a bunch of mappable buttons.
Dude, this is the generic. This
was
is
cheap.
this was the Thrustmaster. This was like $80 or whatever it was. It was
Cheap.
the cheapest one you can get.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And you could probably even get it cheaper now. That was like 2 years ago, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
You could probably even.
And
I
it's
don't know what they're going for now.
And it's intuitive to lock onto your targets, to shoot with blasters or missiles.
Everything feels so good. Well, especially like Mash said, you might have to spend 5 minutes mapping things to whatever on certain things. But it's amazing. And the amount of control you have, like I was owning everybody when we did multiplayer, because they weren't using a HOTAS, or anybody that wasn't using a HOTAS. I mean, you can use a controller and you can get good at it. I just don't find it as intuitive.
Me neither.
You guys play? Did you guys play multiplayer on this run?
I did not.
Not this time, but we used to, like, when we were playing this, like we used to go in with Scion, and me and Roots and Scion, I think, and Tech and maybe some others. Like, we were going in and doing multiplayer matches like quite a bit when it first came out. And there's even I don't know how deep you got into this, Wes, but there's a maneuver that's called a power slide, and it's basically like drift racing, where you pull the power, like you would pull like an emergency brake, and you would like do it like a 180. You can do that in here with this, and it's with you. Would you do it with the HOTAS? It's so freaking good. It's like, because you can actually turn on a dime, and like as an enemy goes by you, instead of having to like go all the way, turn and go back around, you can just basically almost turn on a dime, and you're right behind him with that maneuver. And it's so easy to do with the HOTAS, and I couldn't even figure out how to do it with the controller.
Yeah,
I typically pull my throttle way back when I'm in a dogfight, just so I can kind of just hover and turn, because they do kind of go by so quickly, and you have to lead them, right? When you're trying to shoot them down with the blasters, you have to be able to lead them, because it's pretty fast paced, the combat in this.
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Did you do multiplayer, Wes? And you asked us.
Not on this run. I didn't when the game came out.
Oh,
That's the reason why I was asking, because I wonder what the lobbies are in this thing. Not that I would ever go into a public lobby in any multiplayer game, but I'm always one that want to play with my friends. But I am curious if people are still playing this. I'd be surprised if they aren't, because I mean, this is a big time AAA game, and it's dirt fucking cheap. Like, I already had this game in my library on the Epic Game Store. I thought, since we were going into it again already, that I would just go ahead and pick it up for Steam and play it on Steam. $4 to pick this game up.
That's insane.
Yeah. And with that said, I got in, I installed it on Steam, and it wouldn't load for me. I guess there's a problem with my there's a problem with the game. There was a lot of people that had my i7 12700K and the different models of it,
Hmm.
where it just wasn't working. It would go to load the anti cheat,
Hmm.
and then as soon as that finished loading, it would just close the game down. I read that there was a fix to upgrade to Windows 11, and that there was a couple of people said that fixed it. But rather than take the time to do that, I just uninstalled it on Steam, went back to the Epic Games version, and it ran perfect on Epic Games for me in my G2.
Yeah. Well, it's
JPEG Q coming through with the $3 donation says, I won't be long. Never stop, never stopping. Thank you for the donation and the cool comment. Thank you very much. Michelle B said that they played it not too long ago.
Nice.
So there you go.
That's awesome. I wish I had gone back to it sooner because like I get into it now and like as soon as I get in there I love what I'm doing, but I'm like, man, I want to get my HOTAS hooked up right now and play it. Like I think I might, like, now that I have it all installed again. Because I never finished the campaign. I didn't finish the campaign. Like I haven't. Probably only maybe halfway through it. So I'd like to finish the campaign and
Same.
I can get my
Same.
HOTAS out, do some multiplayer, and get finished
Now,
the campaign.
let's talk a little bit about the campaign. So you start out, it makes you create two characters. You have to start by creating an Imperial character and then a Rebel character. And the story campaign actually puts you on both sides of the conflict, which is something, Roots, that we talked about recently with Blood Trail, remember? And how unique we thought that concept was
Right.
for storytelling. Well, here we have it in a Star Wars game. And this is like, this isn't just some generic like offshoot story from Star Wars universe. Like this happened during the original trilogy, right? Like it's a story from that era of Star Wars.
Yeah, I thought it was done very well because, like, you don't know which side that people are going to fall on. Some people really want to be in the Imperial, right? They want to be in a TIE fighter, or vice versa. You get to do both.
Uh,
Personally, I think it was cool that we got to be the evil rebels, the rebellions. You know, like the Imperial and to crash those fuckers down, but it didn't happen that way. But maybe we can change it this time.
And the cool thing about something like this versus like a traditional military um, flight game is you're not just doing dogfights in this. Like you're taking on the fleet of different Star Wars aircraft, which means not only is it X-wing versus TIE fighters, but you're taking on fucking freighters and star destroyers and just every single thing that you can think of. And it's about as daunting and as difficult as you would expect it to be. Eric, one of my favorite things to do is to fly over these massive star destroyers and just shoot the turrets off of them. They have gun turrets all over them, and it's fun just to go fly back and forth and just take out all of that firepower off of there, even when your objective is telling you to do something else.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what's great about this game. Like you can do a lot of different things. It's like, and you can attack differently. You can again, you can be really fast, do strafing runs like I usually try and do, or like you said, you like to like kind of hover a little bit. So it's just really cool, and it brings you to different type. I mean, like it's mainly space battles, but I mean, some of the stuff does feel like you're towards like in going through like the outer portions of space stations where you have to actually get close to the space station, or these huge ships, and the set pieces are huge. There's like asteroids all around you. And yeah, I mean the like going after like an Imperial Star Destroyer. I mean it's like Geek City, man. This is like what it's amazing. Like, and like you said, taking out the turrets and then trying to take out these big huge ships. And then the dog fighting is awesome. Like it's really good. Like dog fighting is not always an easy thing to do, and sometimes it's tough to get the controls down straight. And again, with the HOTAS, it's so freaking easy. And they got everything right. The sounds are good. Like it's Star Wars. The music's great. The freaking the laser blasters from your ship are perfect. And like If you're in a TIE fighter, it feels like you're in a TIE fighter, and it sounds like you're in a TIE fighter with that freaking
Right.
TIE fighter noise that it makes. And I don't know, man. They just did everything right with this game, and I can't believe it's $4.99.
I've seen it
It's
on
crazy.
sale for $2. I've
Yeah,
seen it
me
on
too.
sale for $2.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's
which
still
is-
$4.99.
Well, it wasn't on Steam. I got it off of some key broker, but still, that's not the point. The point is that this thing frequently goes on sale on Steam for $2, which is just ridiculous. But if
Somebody
you have
gave it
a
away for free, did Epic give it away for free at one point too?
Yeah,
or
it was one of
something?
their games for the month, I believe.
well, what it is Epic has a. Oh, did Epic give it away? I didn't even know that.
I believe so,
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
believe
they
I
did.
have it
Oh,
on mine
that's
as
great.
well.
Yeah.
Well, EA has a subscription service. It's like $5 or $6 a month, and it's part of that. And that's how I initially played it on PC. Was I had something that gave me like 3 months of that service for free, and I played it that way. Actually, the first time I played it was on PlayStation, and the resolution isn't quite as high, obviously, but it was still for the PlayStation games at that time. It was a good looking game, and as far as like the PC version today, this is as good looking as a game as you're ever going to see in PCVR. It's like perfect. It's photorealistic, and I mean, obviously, the character models don't look like real people, but like the ships, the atmosphere, the environments, it's all like perfect. It literally can't get any better. So
Think it's
yeah,
worth the price
all
of admission?
Oh my
No,
god.
just kidding. Dude, how many
It's
hours
worth-
does you get? Like 40 hours out of this game, probably,
the
right?
campaign's like forever too. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Looper says that it's also in PC Game Pass. So those of you who are subscribed to Game Pass can play it that way. All of you people in that are watching in the chat and watching the replay, people in the Discord, I know there are a good number of you that are either building a computer or saving up to build one because you want to play all these mods. Don't forget about the old native PCVR games, because there's some all-time great VR games that you guys are going to unlock when you get your computer built up. So that Roots, that's why we're doing this, right? And that's why we will continue to focus on classic games as we move ahead.
Yeah, 100%. And people are saying that Hawk says you're all lucky to have friends that like VR because none of my friends like VR. And Chrome says you have friends, lucky. Yeah. Here's the thing: come to the Discord, man. That's how many people have we met. Like everybody I play VR with, or games in general, I've met through the Discords, right? So it's a
Yeah,
good
you
place
guys
to meet
like.
people.
Yeah, my internet friends are my friends. Like I don't go hang out with people in meet space like at all ever. So like I consider you all my friends and family. So if you need friends to play with, come start hanging out on the Discord and talking to people. Like people game on the regular. I mean, D gets in every Wednesday and plays something like this or a racing game or something, right? And it's typically a multiplayer lobby that holds a lot of people, and she posts it every week. So and that's just one day. Like there's people that go on Friday, and yeah. So everybody, if you want friends, we got friends. Just click that invitation link in the description down below.
Yep, for sure.
Anyway, this game's amazing. Roots, we talked recently about how when we play, sometimes we play these games and we're not ready to walk away from them when we're done covering them. I feel like I've got 3 of those this week. Like we're doing the episode today, but I kind of wish this was next week's episode because I'm not done with any of these games quite yet.
Yeah, well, the good news, like Eric said, they're already installed, and you're going to need a game to play with your new Hoda. So I think the show should pay for. Definitely. What do you think? What is everybody in the chat right now? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the show that you guys help donate money to should help Wes get a HOTUS so that he can experience, because they're cheap.
I would already have one if I played a lot of flight games. I just don't play a lot of flight games, dude. Like, I'd literally be buying it to play this a couple more times with. You know what I
Or,
mean?
but this is the thing. You're assuming this is the only game. There's other games like Battlezone is an amazing game with a HOTAS. Microsoft Flight Sim, you can use a HOTAS.
100%.
What's the other? There's another game that. Well, there's several other games that I typically don't play that much, but I believe a lot of these warplane games and like there's games out there. As a matter of fact, I would submit there's more use for this very reasonably priced HOTAS than the wheel that you spent all that money on that you pretty much use for one game, or you know what I mean.
Yep. You can buy one used right now on Amazon for $54, or if you want to go brand new, it's $84.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Food for thought.
I mean,
thought.
for that,
Well,
for less than $100, I mean, just for this game, like it would be worth it. Trust me, it's like so good with this game.
Ultra Wings 2, No Man's Sky, VTOL, Elite Dangerous, which Elite Dangerous is amazing. I need to get into that. That is such a fucking daunting game, though. As far as learning to fly, I once I learned to fly, it was cool. But yeah, there's a lot of games, so I think it's worth it. Definitely food for thought, anyway.
Yeah,
I'm breaking mine back out, doing it, getting it out.
Breaking it out. Whip it out, Eric.
You know who loves when you whip it out?
My mom.
Yeah, she does.
We need B haptic support for this too. A HOTAS with a B haptics would be sick with this.
That would be sick.
That's what I was thinking when I was playing the Thrasher. Need some haptics.
Mm-hmm.
Put my vest on.
Couldn't you do the music side of it?
You could.
Yeah.
I suppose you could. Yeah. I want to feel the slicing of the things, though. That's why I wanted the haptics, is slicing through that stuff and hitting the wrong thing. I want to feel all that.
That would be. That could be so amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the final game, the main event of the evening, Ghosts of Tsushima, made possible in VR by the amazing OG Real VR mod by Luke Ross. Jokes aside, the history with me and Luke Ross mod is it's been hit and miss. Sometimes I'll have an amazing experience like I had with Uncharted 4. And then sometimes I'll try to play Elden Ring or Horizon Zero Dawn and not have all of that great of an experience. I thought, Eric, that it was going to be the latter when I installed this mod. I was playing at that time on my Quest 3 through the link cable, and I installed the mod. I booted the game up, and the performance was just terrible. It wasn't unplayable, but it was choppy to turn. The graphics were really like muddy and shimmery. It wasn't. It basically reminded me of the Horizon Zero Dawn mod from like 3 years ago.
How dare you?
Before I upgraded my graphics card. But upon further examination, I noticed that installing the mod this time didn't give you an option to choose low, medium, or high graphics. It just installed it and set it to what it wanted to. So I started kind of looking through the real VR mod settings, and I noticed that it defaulted on the 1/3 render setting, which basically means it takes the native frame rate of whatever headset you're using, cuts that down to 1/3, and then limits the game's FPS to whatever that number is. So it was cutting it down to like 30 frames per second or something ridiculous like that. It had like crazy high latency. It was like almost 300 milliseconds latency, and all kinds of artifacts. So as soon as I realized that, I switched it over to the native AER mode, which is like the native real VR mode now. And it looked way better and especially ran a whole lot better. So I guess we'll start with that. Like, I know that you had different problems, Eric, which kind of blows my mind because you're on a 4090, aren't you?
Yeah, I am I muted, Roots?
I don't think
Oh,
so. Yeah.
I don't see. So I don't think I had anything. My issue had anything to do with the card. I think there's something wrong with either my install or the mod for me in some way, because I can play the game fine, and it took me a little while to figure that out, and I can get into it fine. My issue is when I hit the two buttons to bring me to the mod menu, the game crashes automatically. And so the problem is I can't get in to change those settings that you're talking about.
That will ruin it.
So I played an hour, almost 2 hours. I played right about 2 hours into this game. Like, I made it through all the way to where I unlocked the whole world, where the whole map is open to me. Like, I played, and I have no issues. And I played everything on Ultra, so it's not a card issue for me. It's literally something to do with the mod. Whenever I go to open the mod menu that allows you to change shit, it automatic. I mean, literally, as soon as I hit those two buttons on my controller to bring it up, crashes.
That sucks, man, because I don't know about you. Well, you tell me, Roots. Like, for me, the default settings in the Real VR mod made this almost unplayable. So I assumed that that's what it was for Eric. Well, what about you? Did you have to change that stuff up?
Yeah, the 1/3, because I always go into the settings and tweak it in the mod and stuff. The one, for whatever reason, for one, it wasn't set on Ultra for me, which was so bizarre. I was like, what the fuck, man? I was so put off by that. I was like, dude, read my card. I got this card in here, spent a lot of money on there. It's go to Ultra. So I set everything to Ultra, but it was set to that 1/3, and like you said, it just felt weird. I didn't know that it looked bad because of that. For me, you've got that slider, right? That says it's got a number on it, and you can up the slider, and then you hit adapt resolution, and that adapts the in-game resolution. And so like I don't know what it was set on, but I set it up to like 5,000 by 5,000 or some ridiculous number. And then once I did that, it looked really good. And then I also went into the settings and turned off like lens flare and all the shit that you don't need. But I also took advantage of the fact that it's not only got an in-game resolution that you can bump, like you can bump the resolution up in game, but you can also do that, like I said, in the mod, so you can get it looking really good.
Yeah, I didn't really mess with the in-game settings that much. I did before I realized the 1/3 was on. I thought, okay, well, maybe I can go into the settings and fix these problems, and it just made it worse. So at that point, I clicked on the configuration thing again and deleted my configuration, and then it automatically reinstalls with a new one as soon as you do that. So when I went back in, the only thing I changed on the in-game, I did put it on Ultra like you did, and I used FSR 3 for upscaling, and there's something else that you can use it for. I did not use it for frame generation. Like the thing already gives you enough frames. There's no need to have AI generate extra frames for you. But you can use FSR. Maybe it was anti-aliasing or something. But you can use it for upscaling. You can use it for frame gen, and you can use it for something else. I didn't use it for frame generation. I used it for the other two things. And I also enabled NVIDIA Reflex, which reduces latency not only with the video card but with the CPU as well. And a lot of the problems with these types of mods is latency. So I thought that would be a good thing to use, and I think that did help a little bit. But anyway, the big revelation for me outside of getting the settings right. So when I figured out the settings, which didn't take very long, maybe 20 minutes of tinkering around with it, I played it for probably 30 or 45 minutes like that. And I found it okay. It was playable. You could tell it was a good game. Like it was a beautiful game with a good story. I guess in the early part, at that point, I was thinking maybe an average hack and slash gameplay loop in it. So I played it 30, 45 minutes. I put it down. I come back sometime later to play it. And I thought, just for shits and giggles, let's unplug the Quest and put the G2 on it and see if it will run as good as the Quest runs. Not only did it run as good, it ran way better and it looked way better. And Roots, we often sit on here and I kind of laugh at people that talk about compression artifacts, because typically when I'm playing a native VR game on my Quest, I don't see anything that I would call an artifact, so to speak. But when you're talking about a mod, that the mod itself has artifacts that it creates,
Right.
once you put that through some compression, that is a real fucking noticeable difference. Because when I went over the G2, this thing went from being okay and playable to being just fucking absolutely beautiful in the headset. And it made me, it reminded me of playing Uncharted in my G2, just how good that looked. I would say that this looked just as good as that.
Yeah, nobody needs a display port, right? No, no, this is
Right.
exactly what I've been screaming about, like, and it may not be noticed. Some people are really sensitive to it, and so they're going to see it everywhere. Most people
Right.
don't see it, overlook it, but it absolutely is compounded in a mod for sure, especially when it's something like this. But I do want to say that what really shocked me the most was, because I own the director's cut on PlayStation, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I played it before Elden Ring. I don't know if it's because I played it in VR. I do remember really liking the story and liking the honor and the samurai, but I actually really enjoyed the combat this time. And I was like jumping and like fucking slicing people, and
Yeah.
it really does a good job of making you feel like a badass. And that's before the skill tree and you start adding
Yeah.
shit, like the game is very deep. And like Dee said, she's 8 to 10 hours into the game and she's barely scratched the surface. So like this could be one of the deepest games we have, that is really worth playing through. So
Yeah, it takes its time to build up, right? Like it's pretty basic at the start, but it keeps adding layers of complexity, and it does what a good tutorial should do, right? It introduces a game mechanic, it lets you master that before it gives you the next one, but it continues to build on. Eric, did you notice that like the tutorial stage of this game, the part from the beginning of the game until you see the title scroll, it took me like an hour to get to that.
It's crazy.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
I saw that title screen and I'm like, what? And getting that now? Like, literally, that is like, that's when kind of everything starts to open up for you. Like, I mean, the game
Yeah.
like really starts to like almost feel like an open world game a little bit, or like an Elden Ring almost, because you have this huge map that you can go through and do, like start doing different things. But that's when the title screen hit, and I'm like, holy shit, man! I'm just now getting the title screen, and I was the same as you. I was at least an hour into it probably at that point. So yeah, I was kind of shocked at the size and scope of this game.
what's
for sure.
crazy is not at no point during that hour was it boring or felt slow, or like the pace was perfect, right? Like the storytelling, the action, it just is very good,
This is game design, right? This is like real deal, big boy, game design. You know what I mean? It's not
This is a PlayStation game, right?
this is
These are the
this is a
games.
Marineverse. Yeah, yeah.
these are the games that we thought we were going to get from PSVR 2 this generation. This is why people were so excited for PSVR 2, because we thought we were going to get games like this. This is the reason why PS5 is blowing Xbox away for generations now, because of these games. It's just amazing on every level, right? Like, for example, Eric, I know you were having trouble with it, but some of these like cinematic moments that kind of lead into like some of the boss fights and things in this, it really gives you that old school, like almost like you're watching a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, and actually the cinematics were one of the things that I thought looked the best for me, again, because I couldn't adjust the things like you wanted to, like you did, and so the gameplay for me is where I noticed that some of my visual issues, where it didn't look as good, but the cutscenes I thought still looked pretty damn awesome. But yeah, I mean, this is a full blown story. Like, this is an epic adventure. Like, it gives you any of those other games, like Uncharted, or like Mass Effect, or any of those big games. Elden Ring. I mean, maybe it's not the as deep as Elden Ring, but it has that epic storytelling vibe to it here. Like, I don't know, to me, the story of what everything's going on here is like amazing. Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm looking forward to getting back in here and seeing like how I progress this character, so I can get to the point where I'm going to build myself up to where I'm going to be this badass. Because like, that's the whole thing in the beginning, right? Like, you're trying to just survive at this point, and get through things until you can like start to level yourself up and get better armor and weapons and things that I assume you're going to probably get into. So yeah, I mean, it has like everything here. This game has everything.
I'm trying to save Uncle. Okay.
Yeah,
I know what you're trying to do.
The dude that plays the bad guy looks so like I should know this guy as an actor.
Really?
Did you notice that?
Yeah, he does. He looks
guy,
familiar, doesn't he? Yeah.
He
does?
I
know what you mean.
I'm like, he looks, and the visuals on it are so good on him, especially in the cutscenes. I'm like shocked. I'm just like staring at the dude. I'm like, I've seen this guy somewhere before. He looks like he's a real actor.
He probably is. Modeled after somebody, right?
Most likely. But Roots, the game built up, even though it is the kind of that old familiar hack and slash gameplay style, the structure of the game itself is very much like an open world RPG. You have this huge map with a number of different quests available to you at any given time, and you can tackle those in whatever order that you want. But at the same time, progression trees and character building stuff unfolding for you the whole time. You're unlocking new weapons, you're unlocking new abilities, you're unlocking armor, all sorts of different items that interact with one another. And it really leads to a highly customizable character and a highly customizable campaign, doesn't it?
Yeah. Everybody's game is going to be completely different, right? And that's what's beautiful about these type of games. Like, you and I could be talking about our gameplay and playthrough, and they could be a completely different approach. And just for instance, and I don't know how you guys would approach it, but like, I'm going to approach this with honor. And I don't do any of the chintzy ass move. That was one of my favorite things. I love the Japanese people and the way they view honor and the samurai and stuff. But yeah, no, this is very deep. This game is probably one of the deepest games you can play in VR, and it's what we need. And it's kind of a shame that Sony didn't deliver the hybrid games, because, and I guarantee there's people out there right now that would say you can't do this game in VR. Well, bullshit, we're playing it, and it's been great and amazing. Yep. And
Luke Ross did it. That's one dude.
And here's the thing, even as fucked up as and hit and miss Sony has been, they could do it better. It's their game. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not fucking doing it. And so, like, and to
be fair, no one is, right? Like, no one's bringing these games into VR except for modders and a little studio that I've heard of that recently opened up, working on becoming that.
And
I forget what they're called.
Yeah, hopefully that studio flat to VR will help change the stigma that we as the VR community have kind of partially created, right? just because everything needs to be motion controls. And there's I guarantee a part of these companies that are afraid to bring a hybrid without motion controls. They've seen what Hitman, how it got crucified. Everybody's knee jerk will have bad review. It just it kind of sucks because like a game like this is 1,000 times better than most games with touch controls. Like it doesn't matter what the controls are.
VR SpryGuy said something very interesting in the Discord earlier today, and it got me thinking. He said that the addition of Vive ones to the original HTC Vive set back VR adoption by years, because originally the Oculus Rift was intended to play with the normal gamepad, and by introducing motion controllers too far ahead of their time, you basically shut out the legions of traditional gamers that otherwise would have picked up VR and took to it like a fish in the water. But now when you're handing them these wands and really changing the game on a fundamental level, you're just basically making it so that people are going to put it down and not want to come back to it. What do you think about that, Eric, as an idea?
I saw Spry put that in there earlier today, and I thought that was like a very interesting take on it. I'm of two minds of this because I agree. Like today we played this with a gamepad, and I had a blast playing it, and not 1 minute in there did I go, oh my God, how come I don't have touch controllers? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I was having a great time in VR, looking around, looking at my environment, doing everything I can do in virtual reality. I didn't care that I was on a controller. It doesn't matter to me. Whether I can have it, I don't have to have my hands. I don't need to be swinging a sword in real life. Like,
not everything's a simulator.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want it. I'm not a simulator. Like, I love VR for not the simulator part of it. I don't care that I don't want to chop trees in real life. I don't want to do this for 10 hours. Now I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need Job Simulator. Okay. I don't need to be able to like grab things and do this. Like, that's not like, I understand that to a lot of people, that is VR. Okay. That's like being able to grab things and touch things. And it is a cool thing in certain perspectives, but it doesn't have to be everything. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. It's okay to have a game and play it on a gamepad and still be an amazing immersive experience, that brings you into the game. So I do understand that side of what Spry is saying, but I do think we can't get to where we need to be eventually until we had this step of touch controllers. So while I agree with him, I don't agree with him because I think we need to get to that next step, and we had to go with touch controllers before we get to that next step.
Well, he wasn't saying we need to skip it. He's just saying we should have.
Oh yeah, no.
They should have had a stage instead of going, because they're pretty much it got released with a controller with a gamepad, 360, and then it was like less than a year, right? And all of a sudden and then nobody's using a Xbox controller. And so maybe if they had the full first generation, if there was no, then they went to touch controls. Maybe it could have pulled people in. Because we did see like Edge of Nowhere, and some of these games were amazing, right? Like, it didn't matter that it was a game.
Think about this. My favorite Gen 1 catalog of games was PlayStation VR. Those were my favorite games in the first gen. So what were my favorite PlayStation VR games? Resident Evil 7, gamepad game. Here They Lie, gamepad game. Astrobot Rescue Mission, gamepad game. Farpoint. Farpoint wasn't a gamepad game, but it wasn't a motion controller game either. It was for aim controller, which was basically another controller, right? It was a mix, a hybrid. So I'm not saying I agree or disagree with Spry. I don't know if that would have made a difference with regard to adoption in the early days. But I certainly think that it's a thought that merits consideration. I certainly think it's possible that he could be right.
I think
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say part of his point too was that it's easier for devs to develop a game for flat and VR at the same time if they're using the same controller versus trying to bring this whole new schematic, you know. And so if they just had the generation, what kind of games could we have had released? Any of them. Any one of them could have came out with a touchpad. But we're kind of in a point where most VR people still today would say, I don't want the gamepad game. Well, then we're not getting those games. We're not getting the Ghost of Tsushimas. It's going to be a long time before. You know, I saw something interesting today, and it was, what's that game that came out recently? That it was, I said YouTube thing when I was looking up this footage for this, and it said the Ghosts of Tsushima of VR, and it was that castle or.
Oh, was that Rashi?
Yeah, Rashi. And I'm like, no, dude, like, this is the thing. It's not. It's cool. It is what it is, but it's not this game. This game is so fucking amazing. But we'll never get this for so long unless we get hybrids, I believe. We need, or with flat to VR to let these studios know, man, you can release the exact same game in VR. And it's not that hard. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about Arashi while I was playing this again today too, because you see a lot of similar things, right? Because of the setting. But man, just night and day difference in terms of the actual game itself. I'd rather play this all day with the gamepad than play Arashi with motion controllers.
I'm gonna go back and play this. I might even, and I was just saying didn't like it. I don't like Melee. I don't know if it's in VR or what it is, but I really am. The story really intrigues me, and I thought the Melee was fun. I don't have. There's no limit on how I can approach it. If I can run and sneak up and slash somebody from behind, I can do it if I want. That's real life. They're not making me do a parry every fucking hit and a bunch of weird stuff.
You can parry if you want.
You can parry. And it's a different way to do it, right? And it actually benefits you. So,
yeah, there's so much in this game that I actually loved going through the tutorial. And that's why I said before, about big boy game design. This is game design at its best. This is how you put people through a tutorial. We are an hour in, and they teach you a whole bunch of shit. But I had no idea that I was going through tutorial. I thought I was deep into the game. And basically that was just them introducing me to the control schemes and telling me how to play it. And then, then all of a sudden title screen, and I'm like, holy shit, it throws you for a loop. And that's game design. That's really putting thought into game design and how you get through these things. And this is some of the things that VR developers don't think about all the time. And maybe they just can't because they don't have the whole team and the big money behind it to do it. But those are a game developer should look at a game like this and they should study it. And it's not just about making the game; it's about designing the game to make it fun, to make it interesting. Give it a hook. Get me back in there. You don't put me through an hour's worth of tutorial where I feel like you're giving me a tutorial, like you're giving me 100 different things to figure out and learn, right back and forth. I'm in and give me another spawn room where I'm killing dummies, trying to figure out how to do a hack and slash, how to parry back and forth. This they put it into the game.
Your story is being told the whole time, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. That was one of the coolest things about it too, because you really, it's during flashbacks when you learn how to do most of your fighting. It flashes you back to when you were a kid, and it shows you what your motivation is with regard to your uncle and your dad, and then
I feel so guilty.
Yeah, me too. What a bitch move that was.
That was a bitch move. He probably might have been able to help.
Maybe. There's only one dude.
There's only one dude, and
Could you imagine living with something like that?
No, I just would be the worst.
Maybe he hated his dad. Maybe his dad was a jerk.
He could have been a real jerk.
Could have been. Could have made him go to bed at 9. What a dick.
D says, I unlocked a couple more things and moves and feel even more like a badass samurai. I just beat my first boss and I got a lightning move.
I want a lightning move. I want a bow and arrow. That's what I want, and I know I can get one too because some of
That's the next
the
mission.
accessories that I equipped help with your bow and arrow attacks. So,
What do you think of the standoff?
I thought it was pretty cool. It was a little weird because when it initially told me about the how to do it, the pop up screen that had the instructions on it only came in the right eye, and it was the left side of the panel, so I only got half of the text.
Oh god!
Thankfully, after you clear that and you actually start to do the actions, it actually pops up on the screen and tells you what to do. So it didn't matter that I couldn't read it initially. I got it in the end anyway. But no, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I thought that was just me because I couldn't adjust in the mod menu. I thought that was just me, that everything was offset for the menus, and like I like.
No, and I'll tell you what you might try, Eric, because for the mod menu worked a little different for me in this game than it did in other games. Typically, in the way I remember it, is you had to pause the game to even bring up the mod menu. You don't here, but if you try to bring it up without pausing first, it's like gigantic and off to the left or off to the right, and it's like flashing and it's unusable. But if you pause first and then bring the mod menu up, it works perfectly. So maybe if you go back in and you try to pause the game before bringing that mod menu up, maybe it'll work for you and not crash you.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I've tried it several different ways. Like I tried it in the title menu, and I tried it like in the in game, but I never tried it in the pause menu. So that could be a good shot. I'll try.
Yeah, I think that's when you're supposed to do it, right?
It's very weird that it's happening to me. Like, I mean, you should be able to pull it up anytime in game, right? Like you hit those two buttons on your controller, and it should pop up the menu. And
it definitely shouldn't crash the game, whether it works or not. Hitting two buttons on your controller should never crash a game. That's pretty bad.
And it's weird because it gives me a PlayStation error crash, like where I can report the error to PlayStation.
So it's a PlayStation error.
That's what it's saying. It is.
Okay.
It's saying that the crash is allowing me to report. It's asking me, do I want to report this to PlayStation or do I just want to close out and end it? So I'm just not sure.
Never
It's very
report it.
strange. Yeah, no, I never do, especially with a mod because I don't want them to go like, oh, you're cheating or something. Because there is an anti-cheat. There is an anti-cheat here.
Yeah.
So
definitely, it's definitely was broken for me when I didn't pause first. It didn't crash me, but it was definitely broken. So yeah, I would try that. Try pausing it. And from my reading up on the anti-cheat with the Star Wars Steam version, a lot of what I read was talking about how those crashes were related to the handshake between Steam and EA. So you might want to make sure that that you have properly
logged in,
synced up your PlayStation and Steam account with this one. Maybe you're having some kind of issue with that in the anti-cheat.
Good question. Yeah, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, because I know I synced mine up the first thing. First time I played it flat for like 15 minutes, and which is what I typically do with Luke Ross mods, right? I get in and make sure that I know how to play the game before I start trying it in VR, because there are occasions when these Luke Ross mods leave things out that you can't read, like parts of the UI and things like that. So I always make sure that not only have I established a good game file to mod, but I'd know how to play the game on a basic level before I start trying to play it in VR.
I didn't try it with this game, but I think I did it with when I was trying the Uncharted 4 the other day. I believe there's a way you can make the UI smaller as well. Inside the thing, just by tweaking it, and off that I'd have to go in and verify that, but I'm pretty sure I did with it. I was either that or UEVR, but I'm pretty sure it was it.
Bruce, I
So-
just messaged you in the channel. Can you send me the mod for Uncharted? I'm gonna try and get
It's the
it
same mod.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the same one.
Same mod. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it.
Paste the same thing in there.
Yeah, so that's another thing that's good about Luke Ross mod. You know, of course, UEVR has all these new different Unreal Engine games, but he's making quite a list of amazing games that this one mod can play with, and each one of them is, you know, I mean, I guess some are Unreal Engine, but each one of them is usually its own unique engine. So he's pretty talented at what he does.
Yeah. Yeah, he puts it all in one package. It's a universal mod. So every game that it supports, it works the same way. You copy those files, you drop it in the game directory, you click on real config, follow the prompt, and you're modded up. So yeah, so Uncharted works. All of those Far Cry titles, they all work. Cyberpunk 2077, there's another one we should get back into.
Yes.
Yeah.
GTA
Yeah.
5. I want to do the one that I just came across Beardo Benjo's video again of him, the ones that makes it look realistic and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I wish I had a 4090. I would give that a legit shot. That's not a new mod, by the way. That's an older mod. But it does eat a little bit more performance. But with the 4090, you should be able to pull it off.
Well, we're gonna do the GTA 5 mod anyway, so I might just try that.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
there's
get Uncharted tomorrow. I'm gonna do it. I'm downloading it right now.
Dude, it's one of the
It's
best games.
Legacy of Thieves collection, isn't it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's not going to be the Lost Legacy. It's the main thing, but definitely, Mash, when you go in, do the adaptive slider, like I said, crank that fucker up, and you're going to be blown. I just went in the other day and I was blown away at how good it looks now with the 4090. Just how
make sure that it's not defaulting you in the 1/3 or the 1/2. Well, maybe the 1/2, but definitely not the 1/3.
Hope we don't have any issues with it.
Use AER with it. That's what I do. And are you going to be on the show next Saturday? I forget. You're going to be gone, or
I will not. I'll be in China.
Okay.
We do it Friday.
Well, whenever
if we do it Friday night, I'm going to do it. But I'll be leaving for China on Saturday.
I don't know if I can. I doubt I'll be able to be ready for Friday. We got a busy week coming up.
Yes,
yeah, just start playing on that Uncharted, and then whenever the next time is that we know we're going to do a show on a Saturday, we'll do Uncharted.
Yeah, it'll give me some time to get it because I'll probably play a little bit this weekend just because I've got some stuff to play. And
It's great, dude.
Yeah, it'll give me some time.
If you get a few chapters in, he won't stop, Willie Roots. Like when you get to those middle chapters, it takes off in such a way, and every level is so different than the last one.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just thought the story for me was the best part of it, and the gameplay was even just as good.
Well, and because I'm such a big fan of the first, 3 games,
You'll love it.
I loved them. Like I played them. Multiple times. Played through them, and this thing's a freaking beast at 90 gigs. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's a beast. But wait until you see how good it looks with your beast of a 4090.
I love it. I'm psyched.
Play it on G2. Don't forget that part.
Yeah,
Eric,
I will.
Because,
I will.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
yeah. This is one of the reasons I got the G2, right? Because I always wanted to have. Number one, I wanted to try it because I hadn't. This is one of the headsets I hadn't really tested on my own. I've done them like demos of them at like conferences and stuff, but never had one in my own house where I could test it. And like this is where I want it for. I want it for mods and stuff like that because I had the Pimax, but I mean, like, unless I think I'm going to do like a simulator, that's when I'll go to the Pimax. But if I'm just going to play a game, I need a good PC, and I'm not a Valve Index fan, so
yeah.
Like
and there's literally no trade off if you're playing with the gamepad anyway.
Right.
It takes out the weakness of the platform.
Yeah, with the controllers.
So.
Yep. I'm down.
All right. So just to wrap up Ghost of Tsushima, guys, I think overall a thumbs up. Other than Eric's problem with it crashing, I think we all agree that this is a great game and a pretty damn solid mod as well. I would only urge a little bit of caution with ease of use. Because just installing the mod isn't going to be enough. You will have to tweak some settings in it, But if you've been paying attention to what we've been saying over the course of this segment, you'll know what those things are. And if you forget, just tag us up in the Discord, and I'll be glad to run you through it again. You just want to make sure that you go into the mod settings basically and run this thing in AER, or if you're like Roots and you care so much about the 3D effect and would rather just have it be crystal clear and perfect, you can play it in mono 360, which is flat, but it's all around you. And it's just as clear as it would be on your monitor.
And it's not as flat. I mean, if you projected it to your monitor, it's still gonna have a double image, right? So there still is 3D depth. It's just not really enhanced. Like, I saw leaves flying by me and it didn't look like a flat leaf, and I was like, okay, this isn't flat. People say it's flat, but it's somewhere, I don't want to say even in between, but it's like not flat. That's amazing.
The point of the story is under no circumstances use the 1/3.
Right.
Whether you use, I would say if you're using a quest, you might want to use the 1/2, because I mean that's enough frames anyway, and the artifacts are a little bit less, and the artifacts are a bit more of a problem on the quest. If you're not using Quest and you're using a wired headset, then you should just use standard AER. As far as the in-game settings, set the graphics preset to whatever your graphics card can handle, and then you can tinker around with FSR and DLSS if you have time, but it isn't necessary typically. And that's that. I guess that's our show for this week. I want to thank everyone for staying up late or getting up early to hang out with us. Guys, we did it again. 3 more up and 3 more down. The only problem is I don't want to stop playing any of them. I want to just keep going.
Yeah, they're all 3 worth playing. And like I said, if I had to choose one, it's the last one we just talked about in mono, because it's totally 3D, just as good. Looper. I get what you're saying. It is flat, but it's maybe my eyes are tricked. It doesn't bother me. I don't know. I when I have it on that, it is crystal clear, looks phenomenal, and I don't see it doesn't look that much different to me than 3D does, except for it doesn't have all that halo shit around it. So,
if you like the episode, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and ring the bell. We're going to be back on Monday. I want to say with a normal show, but it's actually going to be more of a hybrid show. We're going to have some more impressions, I think, on Monday. For what I can't say right now. But PSVR gamers, tune in on Monday. We'll have something that you're interested in, I assure you. Patrons, first of all, we had a couple of new patrons this week. Let me go ahead and shout them out. Ollie Himbe, the Catallergic Game Cat, I know was
nice.
One of them. Let me bring it up. I don't want to make sure. These Game Cat names can get quite long, and I don't want to leave any part of it out. So,
especially if they're that elaborate, right? They went to that much trouble. Wes, I'm off tomorrow. Man, this has been a fucking crazy week for me as far as hours, so it's nice to have a day off.
So we have Ali Himbe, the Catallergic Game Cat, joined our Patreon this week, as did Get In My Belly, Game Cat Wilkins, LOL, also joined the ranks of the Virtual Strangers Patreon. So thank you guys for the support. I did post 2 new videos, exclusives on the Patreon. The ones I talked about on the last episode, Quest 3 gameplay with no game audio, thanks to the janky ass Quest. But people said they wanted it, and I posted it on there. You guys can watch those. It was Silent Slayer, and then Dead Second. Both of those gameplays are available now. I also have my Thrasher gameplay recorded, and that one does have sound.
Ooh.
I logged into a different user routes. I logged into the Virtual Strangers account, and I can record with sound. I just can't do it on the Weasel account. So I played Thrasher.
What's
yeah,
funny is you act
there.
like that's not logical. That's totally logical. Makes sense. I have no idea why. But.
Well, Virtual Strangers is the owner
of
the headset.
Are you kidding me? So that's okay. So yeah, you better get your own headset, pal, if you want to record audio.
I guess. Anyway, I've got my Thrasher gameplay, the same video that we used in the background for the Thrasher segment today. I'll be uploading that sometime this week for you patrons. And like I said, that one not only has commentary, but it also has gameplay audio as well. If you guys want to join the Patreon, it's only $3 per month. That's all we ask for. You get our weekly show notes. You get exclusive content, insider updates. You get your name in the ticker at the end of the show each week, and you also get to join us for the 2024 show awards selection ceremony. All that and more. Plus, you get our eternal gratitude for buying us HOTUSes and 4090s and 5080s and
all sorts of crazy stuff.
You got to get
PlayStation.
A HOTUS, seriously.
You got to get a HOTUS. I think you'll notice. It makes a big difference.
You got to get a HOTUS. I think you'll notice. You're a poet and you didn't know it.
We did get a super chat.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. From Xbox Game Pass only BIOS. And sometimes PS4.
$5 Australian. He says, thanks for keeping VR alive, boys. Have a good week. We're not keeping VR alive. We're all keeping VR alive by continuing to talk about it and play it and buy the games, especially. That's kind of the big deal. As long as people keep buying the games, then they'll keep making games.
Hell yeah. We're going to show off some games soon. Flat to VR. Stay tuned.
That's what I hear.
Stay tuned for the showcase, that showcase we talked about earlier. We're going to have probably 2 or 3 announcements of what Flat to VR has been working on.
Wow.
In that trailer.
Yep.
In
Indeed. It's going to be cool. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have money to support us on Patreon, that's fine. We get it. It's a hard economy right now. Discord's free. And that's where we hang out. We don't hang out on Patreon. We hang out on Discord, talking about games, talking about presidents who get shot in the ear. Something, I guess that happens. That's the new rage, I hear.
It happens every once in a while.
Yeah. It's a normal thing.
Standard.
Anyway, we hang out on the Discord 24/7, 365. You can join us on there. There's an invitation link down below. 100% free, and we are there most of the time. So come in there, say hello. You'll be greeted at the door, I assure you. Anyway, with that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Roots and Eric, I'm Wes. We'll see you Monday. Bye.
Take it easy.
See you later.